Hey, what's good, fam? Hold on 1 second. Hello? Hello? All right. I'm not 100% sure if the sound is on, but if it's not, just let me know, all right? All right. All right, fam. Welcome to my first ever live stream. Now, before I actually start for real, there's a couple things I want you to know. I do have some, not a lot of social anxiety, but some social anxiety. So if I don't say everything, I make a lot of breaks and pauses just to understand the reason. It's because sometimes I kind of get nervous and I stop thinking, or yeah, it's just sometimes I might make a lot of breaks and pauses, but just something to keep aware of. Also, the second thing I want to say is there's no cameraman. My phone is set down and there's no cameraman filming this. So if you're worried if I'm putting a cameraman through torture, I'm not. The phone is set down. And I also plan to keep this to 59 minutes and 59 seconds. So I may not get to all my points, but I'm going to stop regardless of whether I get to my points or not. And two more things. Number one, if you have questions or comments, please keep them. I'm not going to be able to answer them while I'm doing the stream, but I'll get to them later, all right? And lastly, yeah, I'm not sure right now, but maybe I kind of forgot what I want to say. But just without further ado, before we get to that point, yeah, if you have something positive to say or you have a comment, I'll get to it after the video, all right? Otherwise, without further ado, here we go. Okay, fam, so actually, yeah, one last thing. I'm going to be pretty honest, all right? So I might say things that may sound crazy, but just know that I was honest ahead of time. Like if you go to the community tab and you see my message, you'll see that I was honest, all right? That I would be very honest if you, hey, what's up, bro? I don't know if, hey, what's up, fam? I don't know if you're, what your gender is, but it's all good. All right, it's all good. And, so I'm going to be pretty honest, all right? And I'm okay if not a lot of people see this. It's all good. If you click away, if you don't feel comfortable watching anymore, I don't blame you. It's all good. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to. All right, but without further ado, here we go. So the first thing I want to talk about is basically my circumstances. So you may not know this, but I'm 25 years old, and it's kind of crazy. Like, I definitely feel younger than that, and I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like it just happened out of the blue. I feel like I just turned 25 out of the blue, and I don't think, COVID helped. I don't think COVID helped. I really don't. Made time. Like, I feel like these past 4 years really went by too quickly. And well, what's crazy about that is I'm really now feeling some big changes Like, just like 1 or 2 years ago, I'm still happy, by the way. I'm not really depressed or anxious, but I just remember, like, I was like 23 or 24. Honestly felt a little bit happier. And I remember, this is kind of crazy. I remember feeling excitement for my 23rd and 24th birthday. Like, I didn't feel really anxiety about the future or anything. I actually felt excitement. Like, I was 23. I was like, yeah, this is awesome, bro. And the same with 24. But it's like the moment I hit 25, my excitement for birthdays went down. And it is only now that I realize that age is like golf. The lower the numbers, the better. But this whole time, I felt excited about the numbers getting bigger. And I didn't really anticipate, oh, wow, well, these numbers are getting kind of big. I didn't really think about that. You know, I didn't really think about the numbers getting bigger. You know, I just thought this is a cool thing and actually felt excitement. But it's only now that I realize the actual depth of it, like the actual consequence of it all. It's actually, I mean, it's kind of positive, but there's also kind of a dark side to it. And it's only now that I wish my future birthdays take more time. It takes more time to get to them. And some of you may think I look younger than that, and I'm flattered. It's all good. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like I just got to 25 out of nowhere, and I'm gonna be 30 in 5 years. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't feel anywhere close to 30 mentally, or, yeah, I really don't. I feel like I have way more in common with teenagers than 30 somethings, if I'm being honest with you. And it's only now that I realized just how just harsh the adult world can be sometimes. I'm not really interested. I'm not really interested in this whole thing. I don't really like this, whatever this thing is. To be honest with you, I was happier kind of when I was younger and stuff, but it's all good. I mean, just got to move forward. But what I realized, though, is this is going to be more rough than I anticipated. And I originally had this plan to make it to 100, but my new plan is to go by 70 now, because, I mean, I kind of wanted to be at the halfway point already, but gotta anticipate that. So if the halfway point's at 35, which is 10 years from now, then that's cool. So you just can't go to the halfway point already. You gotta need some warning ahead of time. So originally I had this plan to go by 49, but I plan to go by 70. And because I'm really not into this. And it's only now that I realize that I'm only going in one direction, and not going back anyways. Not going back. You're only going forward. You're never going back. And you may think that, but you're wasting something good. I mean, if you only want to live to 70, aren't you wasting something good. Well, honestly, maybe not really, because if you think about it, even living to 100 is not all that impressive. I mean, if my thoughts are, why not live for a million years? Or live, why not like go back to like an age you like 10 times in a row? Why can't you just do that? Can't you have that button or something? You get to, or maybe you can relive a good experience like 10 times, but no, it doesn't work that way. That kind of sucks. I just realized that it's not that bad. I mean, so what? Shortened by 30 years. I mean, some people don't. I mean, you may think that's sad and stuff, but, there are people that, you want sad, you have like people that die when they're 6 or something, or they go when they're 6 or something like that. That's actually really sad. You may think it's sad, but no, it's not. And that's also why I'm technically not going to think of myself as 25 right now. I'm going to think of myself more as 36. That way, 70 is the new 100. And that way, that way it'll give me like the illusion that I've lived longer than I actually have. And when I do go to 70, which will be 100, I plan to go out in a heroic way. And so technically I'm going to think of myself more as 36 now, not 25 in technical sense. And just realize like it's not crazy at all is, I mean, if you're sub 35 literally, and you already have a house, a family, and you're making a lot of money, how the F did you do it? Like, for real, like, I'm actually curious about that. How the F did you do that? Like, I can't even imagine, like, some people already they're married and have houses and stuff. That's nuts. I honestly don't think, I can't even imagine, like, this economy is so crazy. Like, how did he do it? If you're under 35, you already have a house and family and stuff. That's crazy. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, if you don't feel like, I don't think this whole marriage and house thing is happening for another 10 years. Like, I just don't get how people did it. But that leads me to my next point, which is about motivation. Well, if you want a house and family and stuff, I'll just work harder. But I'll be honest, if you I don't have that much motivation. I mean, I do have some motivation, but I guess what I'm saying is there's a healthy way to motivate someone, and then there's a not so healthy way to motivate someone. If you want to tell me, well, I mean, no amount of telling me just do it or just work harder. No amount of thinking about the benefits of it is going to make me do it, because I don't really plan on marrying or having a big house anyways. And I especially, you're not going to motivate me. One of the worst ways to motivate and encourage me is to get physical, like, corporal punishment. Being like physical discipline is not a good way to motivate anyone. Like, I just want you to know that, and I think the same should be true for you. Like, just in general, like if you think physical discipline is a motivating factor, it's not. I don't think you should do that. No, I don't think that's right. And if you want to motivate someone, if you want to discipline them, just be. You can be verbally. I don't believe in this whole physical discipline thing. I mean, at all. Verbal discipline. If you need to shout or raise your voice, I mean, that's not optimal. It's best to be calm and rational about it. But if you have to raise your voice, that's still better than being physical, honestly. Like physical discipline, that is not acceptable by it at all. And if you want to motivate me, you're definitely not going to do it that way. And it leads me to my next point, which is I don't really care that much about money. Like, no amount of telling me to care about money is going to make me care about money. I've come to the conclusion that money is not that important. Like, you can live a pretty happy life without having a lot of money. Because at the end of the day, like, whether you have $10 or $1,000,000, you're still going to get older. You're still not going to be able to turn the clock back. You're still not going to be able to relive awesome childhood memories or go back in time. Like, no amount of money. The reason I really don't care about money is because time moves forward, whether you have a lot of money or not. And if I miss like good times in the past, then what's money going to do? I mean, it's true that money can, get you some nice things like a house and big house and like some luxury cars and luxury watches and stuff, but it's absolutely useless if you want to go back in time and relive good memories. So that's why I don't really care that much about money. I'm perfectly fine living a more simple lifestyle. People act as if money is the end all be all of everything, but it's really not. I mean, Jesus even says himself, I don't know if you're that religious, but he even says himself that, it's important to understand that if you want to be a good Christian, that valuing material stuff is not that great. It's not good to do that. Time moves forward whether you have money or not. That's why it's important not to care too much about money. And which leads me to the next point about careers. So think about, so if you're like unhappy, you're scared about like a career choice, here's what I'll say to you. I think the best thing is to pursue a career path that is altruistic and service oriented. Like doctor or teacher or something. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a doctor, but honestly, content creation, that's pretty service oriented. You're providing, well, not service oriented, but you're making people happier. You're actually doing something that brings joy to a lot of people. So I guess by doing something altruistic and service oriented, I don't necessarily mean like saving lives. It could just mean doing something that brings a lot of joy to more people than just yourself, and more people than just the company, you know. Um, I think that's your best bet, is to pursue a career path that is altruistic. And that could be anything, but, you know, there are certain like career paths that are absolutely not altruistic at all. I mean, if you're good at your job, I mean, let's say like you're good at a job and it's like a business job, but like a salesperson for a company, or you're trying to get sales for a company, like, I mean, I guess it's a way to make money, and it's not that terrible, but you're not really helping anyone beyond the company. I mean, if your career is only helping a small niche or just a company, then chances are it's not that altruistic, and I don't think it's going to bring you that much pleasure either. So your best bet is just to go beyond a small group of people, see how many people you can help just beyond a small group, like a small company or something. I think that's your best bet. And I'm not much of a so if you want to pursue a career, do something altruistic. It doesn't have to be like doctor or something, but as long as it brings joy to others, I think that's your best bet. It could be small, it could be easy. Just make sure it brings some sort of joy, or in just a small group of people, or to yourself. That's your best bet. And that leads me to my next point. So I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I honestly believe that it's possible that the higher ups and the powers that be, in a way, I feel like they're making it hard on purpose. Let me explain why I think that. So just think about it, like, because we're young, and oftentimes I feel like the young don't want to be old, and there's a gap between the young and old. You know, there's a rift. I mean, the older are jealous of the young are scared to be old. I feel like maybe, now I don't think this is a huge thing. I think it is probably more, you know, I think the difficulty we face is more probably just corporate greed and stuff, or in this whole, I don't think it's this other thing where they're making it hard on you on purpose, so you pass away earlier so you don't have to get old. I don't think it's that necessarily, but it could be a small part of it. But I do think it is largely just corporate greed and companies being bad, and ruthlessness and competitiveness. I do think it's mostly that, but I do think a small part of it could be that they're making it hard on you on purpose so you don't get old. Because it could be a small part, because think about, like, each passing day you stray further and further from youth. And you're straying further from youth, whether you want to or not. And the young people, they want to retain their youth. And sometimes a lot of young people don't want to get old. So maybe the people in charge, some of them are elderly, maybe, they, you know, they probably make it challenging for you on purpose, kind of like a twisted mercy thing, maybe. It's like a dark empath thing where they're making it so it's hard for you to get a lot of money, so you don't have the means to support yourself. you have no choice but to pass away earlier. I don't think, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist. I can't prove this, but it's possible that a small part of it is that. Very small part. And that brings me to my next point, which is about change. So, I'll be honest with you, I really like the way I look. I like the way I sound. But whatever this is, it's not going to change, stay the same forever. Kind of sucks. Like, now this is going to sound kind of silly, naive, but these like past couple years, I wasn't really changing much. You know, these past 5 years, I kind of looked in the mirror. My face looked the same and stuff, and I wasn't really changing much. But it's only like, I also had this kind of naive idea that maybe I'd look this way to 100, but no. And I know that sounds insanely silly and ridiculous because it is, but I just noticed maybe because I was changing so slowly that it wouldn't happen that much. But no, that's not how it works. I could just change out of nowhere. That's the scariest thing. Like, I could wake up tomorrow, look different. I know it's kind of a gradual change. I heard this like thing where you don't really change until you're like 40 something. You don't really see any big changes until you're 40 something, but I'm not really interested in change. But I know that moving forward, kind of have to change a little bit. So, and I kind of just realized that a little bit late. You change whether you want to or not. I just wish I understood that earlier. Like, I wish I took things a little more serious earlier, but I think just my brain just wasn't fully developed enough to understand what was going on. It's only now that I was noticing these big things for real. And this is, I'm almost in my final segment, so I have three last big things I want to touch on, then I'm going to be done. So here's what I think you should do if you are, here's what I think society should do. So I don't think our priorities should be making technology better unless it's for medical and defense purposes. Like, you have to, like, the US needs to develop better technology. Otherwise, China and our competitors will mess us up. Or for medical purposes, I'm fine with technological advances in that. But I'm not really interested in technological advances when it comes to cars and stuff, or iPhones. That doesn't really help anyone. You know, before we do like technological advances in those things, and I'm honestly fine if there are no big technological advances. I think it's cool enough and technological enough and developed enough as is. You know, we shouldn't be, I don't think our concern should be making cars and iPhones more technologically advanced. I think we should work on making healthcare more advanced and defense systems if need be. But aside from that, you know, this whole Mars by 2030 thing, these kind of self-oriented, not that altruistic things, we should not be investing in that unless there's altruism involved. All right. So I don't think this whole you know, I don't know what's the word. I don't think we should be investing in cars and stuff and technologies. Yeah, or iPhones. We should only invest in technologies that make society better. Some of that save lives, make lives healthier and better, and stuff like that. And now here's what you should do. Now this is the important part. Now pay attention. This is like the rich part. So these last three things I'm just gonna say are like the richest part of this whole live stream. So here's what I think you should do if you want to live a happy life. Here's my best tip for you. So I don't want you to worry about getting married and having children, because honestly, I don't think you should be doing that, even if you want to. Because I think, actually, I kind of know, I think it's kind of apparent that the world has too many people on it as is. And the last priority we should have is, making more people, the world needs fewer people, not more. I'm not advocating for a purge. I just think people need to have fewer children. That's all. So if you're a member of Gen Z or Gen Alpha, like myself, I'm a member of Gen Z, but if you're part of Gen Z and Gen Alpha, here's what you should be doing. You shouldn't marry and have children. I don't think it's worth the risk. If you're marrying to have children, definitely don't do it. So two big reasons why I don't think it's worth it. Number one, I think there's too many people as is. And number two, your wife could be a stone cold fox right now. She could be really hot, but she's only going to get less and less hot over time. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really into that. Yeah, it might sound kind of superficial, but if I want to marry someone, I don't want to have children, and I also want my wife to stay hot forever, or significant other to stay hot forever, but that's not how it works. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not okay with this whole change thing. And it's kind of funny. There was this segment, I don't know what the show is, but Jeremy Clarkson was interviewing Simon Cowell, and Jeremy Clarkson asked Simon Cowell if he could be a judge on X Factor, and Simon Cowell said, no, because you're not aging very well, yet I am. And Clarkson retorted with, well, I'm falling to pieces and I don't care. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not who I am. Like, I kind of care. This might sound superficial, but I don't want to look bad. I know that eventually that's kind of inevitable. And this may sound kind of weird, not that great, but I'm not okay with looking like more and more like a Yoda every passing day. I'm not okay with that. Some people are, and that's fine. I'm not, personally. I'm gonna be honest with you, like, this may sound kind of funny, but so a little while back, we're from 4 to 10 years ago, I was playing bridge at a senior center, and part of me thought that I I don't even view these people as human, but like the old people there, I didn't even think small part of me, this is going to sound kind of naive and silly, but a small part of me thought, wait, I don't even think these people are human. They look like, I mean, if you told me that aliens crash landed here and we're taking care of them in the facility, I wouldn't have really questioned it or doubted it. You know, I'll be honest with you, like, I didn't really notice, I didn't really think, oh crap, I'm going to be like that. That's me. It's just so crazy. Like, you go through all this change, it's crazy. And you just don't stop changing. Like, you could be comfortable, you could be settled, you could like what you have, and you could just change out of nowhere. It's kind of BS, honestly. Like, you just don't stop changing. It's ridiculous. You change even though you don't want to. And I'm gonna be honest, they just didn't even seem human to me. I thought maybe they were aliens, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, there's friendly aliens, but they just didn't look human anymore. And if you told me that they were aliens that crash landed here, I wouldn't have doubted it, really. You know, not that that's a bad thing. It's just, I don't really think. I don't really notice. I don't really take into consideration that those old people are me just in time. I mean, obviously that's true. I don't really, it's just my brain just wasn't developed enough. It's only until recently that I realized, oh crap, that's actually going to me eventually. And that's not an alien that crash landed here. That's an actual human that just changed a lot. That's crazy. I know it sounds obvious, but it's just crazy that is what happened. You know, and let me think here. You know, I'm not really comfortable with change. I know some people are, but personally, I'm not. I know that change is inevitable, but at the same time, I'm not interested in going away that soon. But I'm also not interested in changing that much either. So that's why going at 70 is a perfect balance of, you know, I'm not going to be too, I have to worry about being too old and weird looking, but I don't have to worry about going away too early, because then, you know, it's scary. Like, even if you do believe in heaven, which I kind of do, you can't be 100% sure. I mean, you don't know 100% what's going on. So you gotta have like a safety net, just in case it doesn't exist. I mean, I kind of do think it exists. I think it's more probable that it exists than it doesn't. But you gotta warn someone well in advance of the expiration date, just in case, so they can still enjoy stuff. But at the same time, you don't want to move it too far in the future, because then they'll regret it. You know, and so what you should do is, number one, I don't think you should marry and have children. I think there's too many people on this earth. I think you should just pursue a simple life. And I don't think because I think there's too many people as is on this earth. And what else? Yeah. And do something altruistic. And don't stress. So here's my tip for stress. Here's like a big tip for stress. This is gonna sound a little silly, but I don't really have that much stress. And the reason why is because I think it's illogical to have stress. Um, because it simply doesn't help. Simply acknowledging that stress is unhelpful and simply acknowledging that it's going to make thinking and other stuff harder, that's enough for me to not stress out. And that's why I don't stress. It's just because it's simply not going to help. I know it's easier said than done, but simply knowing that it's not going to help you and it's just going to make thinking harder and stuff, and it's going to age you faster, and it's going to make you all this other crap happen. Like, for real, just don't do it. Simply just not doing it. Simply understanding that it's illogical and this is going to mess things up physically with you more. That's enough for me not to do it. Maybe not for you, but maybe that advice was very helpful for you. And maybe you have your own advice, which you want to share with me. And if you have your own stress management technique that's super effective for you, let me know about it, because I'm actually curious. But I think that's just super effective for me. Just don't do it, because it's simply not worth it. It simply just messes things up. I know it's easier said than done, but frankly, that's just enough for me. Maybe it's not for you, but it is for me. And but if it is enough for you, then that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. What you do. Yeah, so just pursue something altruistic. Don't marry and have children. It's not worth it. Appreciate the simple things in life. Acknowledge that stress simply is unhelpful. I think those are the big. Okay, value simplicity. Don't worry about upsetting your parents, number one. Don't worry, like, if your parents are giving you a hard time about, not going overboard, not doing big, crazy things, just understand this. Like, no amount of, I don't really care. I'm not impressed by, like, if you have, like, 10 degrees from Harvard. I don't care if you have, like, 1 million scholarships and crap like that. Like, that doesn't matter. So just understand that. So here are my 5 tips to be happy. So number 1, don't worry too much about what your parents or loved ones think, or, like, don't worry too much about pressure from them, because if they truly love you, then they would support you no matter what. And if they really, just understand that you're more than likely, old enough to make your own decisions. So just don't worry too much about what your family thinks. And if you don't really have a strong family, if you don't really have any friends, then just come to me. Honestly, like, if you have a weak family and you don't have a network of friends, come to me. I can be your friend. I don't mind that. Come to me. Like, seriously, I can be your friend. You can always find a friend in me if you don't have that, first of all. Just understanding. So simply understanding that even if your friends and family don't support you, I will support you, all right? I'll support you. So number 1, don't worry too much about familial pressure and friend pressure. I'll be there for you. And if they truly loved you, then they wouldn't do that. So don't worry about it, because I'll be there for you. Number 2, don't marry and have children. If you already did that, Godspeed. I hope you know what you're doing. I really do. Because I honestly don't think that's a good idea. If you already did that and you're already neck deep in it, then my thinking is, at that point, don't have more children, number one, if you already have children, and number two, really value simplicity. Try to make things fun for them in simple ways that aren't expensive, and stuff like that. Yeah, so run down again. Don't marry and have children. And if you already did, don't have more. Value simplicity. Come talk to me, ask me more questions later on. I don't know how to help you much right now, but just ask me more questions later on in the comment section down below if you have them on what to do next. Number two, value simplicity. Don't worry too much about expensiveness, expensive, crazy big things, because you can get happiness and joy just out of valuing the simple things. Number three, don't stress, because it's not that helpful. Simply does not help. Number four, pursue an altruistic career path. And number five, don't worry too much about finances, because you're better off going earlier than you probably already anticipated. So, which leads me to my next point on what you should do. So, I honestly think that 70 plus is the perfect conscription age. I don't think this 18 to 25 thing is that great. So, because I do think, well, I'll get to that in a minute, but so I talked about what you should do. Here's what I want. Here's what I'm interested in. So, I'm honestly not, let me think here. What I want is to be like 5 to 18 years younger. I want a girlfriend, not necessarily to have sex with, but just a hug. I just want a little shed. Maybe sometimes I create content and stuff. Maybe not. I just want to hug her, and you don't have to worry about children. We'd never age. We lived 100. Obviously, that's not possible, and that's why I don't care that much about money. I know that's not going to happen. So that's what I want. And I also think, it's going to sound a little messed up, but I honestly think that my best days are behind me. So, because, and you could feel free to disagree with me on this, but I personally think that the age range of like 7 to 20 is the perfect age range, and it's all good if you disagree. I don't blame you. Some people go through a lot of shit then, but I was honestly super happy the whole way through. And yeah, I did get bullied. It wasn't all a walk in the park, and I did go through some bad stuff. And actually, honestly, it was honestly not that bad. When I did get bullied in school, I was honestly more of a bully than actual bullies. Like, it was mostly just verbal abuse. It was not actual, like, I didn't get like anything physical happen to me. So that's why, like, I was honestly being kind of a bitch about it. Like, at the time I thought it was really horrible, but looking back, it honestly wasn't even that bad. And yeah, teachers were mean and stuff, but for the most part I was actually really happy, and I had a lot of good school days, and I felt very carefree, and I had a lot of fun in band. I do remember this one part in marching band. I was in high school, like the drum major. His name is Aaron. sorry to call you out, bro, but you tried to threaten me with a physical assault. You tried to get this kind of hot girl. She's kind of hot. I think her name was like Megan or something, to slap me in front of the whole band. That's not cool, bro. Like, I remember that shit. And I forgive you for that, but that shit's not cool. And luckily it didn't happen, but I still remember that. And I forgive you for that. But I remember that happened. I can forgive, but I can't forget. And I also think it's the best age range because you're smart enough to know that poop is not food, but you're not expected to own a big house or anything. So it's like the perfect middle ground between not being a baby in diapers and also not. You're smart enough to know what real joy is. Because I don't even remember speaking in like a complete sentence before I was 7. And I know like some people like they get a lot of joy out of being a really young kid. But to me, like peak joy is like the fact that you can speak in a complete sentence. And if I can't do that, then that's not really worth it. So yeah, I think, and also like, so I do think my best days are behind me. That's not to say that I can't experience joy, and that's not to say, and I also think it's very likely that your best days are behind you too. And that's not to say that you can't experience joy moving forward. It's just to say that your peak joy has already been surpassed. You've already passed that peak. I think a lot of, so I'm gonna end with this, end with 2 big things. So I do think the perfect age to get conscripted in the army or military for honorary sacrificial purposes is 70 plus, because 18 to 25, even though your best years, in my opinion, are about to be behind you or already behind you, you can still experience some joy and moving forward. And you don't really live long enough to really get most joy, but if you're already 70 plus, there's some really crazy fit old people. Like if you're 70 plus, like I think that's the best age. And like you may think that they're not good enough for battle or stuff, but honestly, there's some crazy fit ones that could be really dope soldiers. I mean, there's like some 70 plus year olds that could really beat me in Olympics and stuff for real, and that's why it's best to go then. Because honestly, don't get me wrong, like I think a lot of old people are not that nice. I mean, I think a lot of them are cynical and bitter, and I don't blame them because they're almost gone. Their whole life ahead. They're scared. They have anxiety and anger and sadness about going away soon. And even if they do believe in heaven, it's not 100% sure if that's a real thing. I don't blame them for that. But that's why I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to be old. So I want to go before that's even a problem. That's why I advise you to go to do the same thing. That's also going to help you, so you don't have to worry too much about finances, because you're not going to need as much money if you want to go earlier. You're not going to need to worry about saving as much money if you want to go earlier. So that's another tip for happiness. So don't worry too much about finances, because if you want to go earlier, you're not going to need to save as much. And especially, you're not going to need to worry too much about financial stress if you don't want to need to marry, have family. Especially not. because I don't want to be elderly. Maybe you do, and that's fine with that, but I'm not interested in that. And don't get me wrong, there are some really nice old people. There are nice old people, but I do think they're in the minority. I think the majority of them are unfortunately just bitter and cynical. And there's some really awesome old people for real, but I don't. Some of them are not that nice, and by some I mean a lot. The overwhelming majority. Being honest, you know. And here's also what I want. So I did say that I want a girlfriend. I don't want her to age. I don't want her to. I want to be younger, like around her age too. And I, want her to have brown hair, brown eyes, big boobs, and like a seal rabbit face. That's pretty hot. And what else? And that's it. But we don't have to worry about. Oh, this is another thing. Don't worry too much about fapping. So, if you're a person that faps, don't do it too much. It can be kind of addictive. So, here's my ideas on fapping. I've stopped doing it recently because I realized that it's not giving me that much joy anymore, and it's not really helping that much. I think X is overrated, and X is kind of a problem because you can have children. That's why you masturbate. Well, that's why you fap. That's why you eliminate the risk of pregnancy. But even doing it to yourself, I just think it doesn't feel that good. And if it does feel good for you, that's fine. Honestly, some people are good with fapping. It brings you joy. Just don't get addicted to it. But personally, I think it's honestly a waste of time. And I just kind of realized that it's a waste of time. It doesn't really help me. And I think just hugging someone is fine. I mean, and if I do want to have X with my girlfriend, I'm only going to do it once. But otherwise, I think X is overrated. I think hugging is better. And those are my thoughts. And I know that was a lot to unpack. So I'm officially done with everything I want to say. I just want to leave you with one final thing. So the reason I wanted to say all this is because, the reason I wanted to say all this is because I want you to be happy. And if I have the ability to give you life-changing advice, and if I'm saying something that works out for you, then that's awesome. Because I want you to be happy and I care about y'all. Like, I don't know much about y'all, but if I have the ability to tell you things that work for me that also work for you, then that's awesome. And I want to change lives. I don't want to just be a YouTuber who makes fun videos. That's cool too. But if I could also, in addition to making fun videos, also do serious stuff, be equal parts serious and fun, and actually helpful for you, then that's awesome. Because I actually want to help you out. And you may not even realize this until you're my age and stuff. That's why it's really important that you watch this, because I really want to help you out. And another reason why I'm doing this is because I plan to go my 70th, and 45 years from now, you're wondering why this channel, I'm not uploading more content, is because of that. But otherwise, that's all I wanted to say. I know that was a lot to unpack, and I'm not 100% sure if I'm on the spectrum of autism or Asperger's. It's possible I am a little bit. And if you got a little bit confused by some things I said, I don't blame you. It was a lot to unpack. And if you need clarification, just say so. But otherwise, thank you very much, fam. Peace out. That was awesome. Let me know what y'all think. Peace.